Welcome to the Freedom Club Podcast, where we discover the fight for freedom, fulfillment, passion, and purpose. Your host is Curt Mercadante, Gallup certified strengths coach, an agency founder who is dedicated to coaching individuals seeking to level up their life and their businesses. The Freedom Club is about unlocking your talents, turning them into strengths, and crushing your objectives. You can learn more at curtmercadante.com. Welcome to the Freedom Club.
And welcome to the Freedom Club Podcast. I'm your host, Curt Mercadante. It is Thursday, April 26th, which means it's time for the Thursday interview segment. Every Thursday, I interview a business leader or some other all-around interesting person. Every Monday is the Monday Motivator segment, in which I share a short burst of motivation to help you kick your week off on the right foot. And for today's Thursday interview segment, I have a very special guest, a seasoned entrepreneur and business owner. She is all of 12 years old. I'm talking, of course, about my daughter, Anna Mercadante. Anna, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm so happy to have you here with us.
Thank you.
I know you a lot better than I know most of my podcast guests. So as if you're a regular listener of the podcast, you know that my wife and I, we homeschool our kids. Their education is largely self-directed. And, you know, we've chosen to live a lifestyle that is different from a number of people, although the number of families who homeschool in America and across the globe is on the rise. But homeschool is all about living a life of freedom for us. Anna, where did we spend the day today, this afternoon?
We went to the beach, and then I had an art class.
Exactly. And so, you know, we live a life of freedom with our family, and we want to instill that notion of freedom with our children as well. And so, Anna, the first question I ask all of my podcast guests is, what does the word freedom mean to you? So, Anna, what does the word freedom mean to you?
The freedom to pursue my passions and just make my own decisions for what I want to read, what I want to do, and with my life, and being able to start my own business, which is a great privilege.
And definitely want to get into your very successful business. But when you talk about pursuing your passions, doing the things you love, what are some of those things?
Well, I really love reading. That's my entire life has been just about reading and everything. But then very recently, I picked up a habit of doing a lot of art. I really, really love just drawing and, creating things that I love. Yeah,
it's more than a habit because you probably draw 5 hours a day and you're excellent at it. You take art classes, and pretty soon you'll probably be selling art online and having your own YouTube channel, right? That's a goal of yours?
Yeah, definitely.
And there's nothing stopping you other than your mommy and daddy, right? There's nothing stopping you from being able to go on YouTube, start your own channel, build a community, and make money off it, right?
Yeah. I definitely want to do that someday. That's one of my dreams, is to be able to share my art with other people.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Because it's not about money for you, right? You draw because you...
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Really.
So let's get into your business. And you've had it for several years now. 3 years?
3 years.
3 years. So you started it when you were 9 years old. And tell us about your very successful business.
Well, it's a dog walking business. I started it. I was, like probably lots of kids, I was just making like $1 chore, and by starting it, I love walking dogs. I love socializing with other people. And I started it, and it's been very successful. I'm almost reaching my $1,000 point, and I really just love doing it. So yeah.
And when you started it out, what was the first thing you did to let everyone in our neighborhood? There's probably 35 homes in our neighborhood. What did you do to get the word out?
I made homemade flyers, and I went throughout the neighborhood and put them in people's mailboxes. And I would see people on the street, and they would be like, "Oh, hey, are you that girl who put the flyer in our mailbox?" And that's how I started building up the business.
And it's expanded even beyond dog walking, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you take care of cats, house sitting. You pick up people's mail, right?
Yeah.
And so it's been wonderful. And And it's good for your younger brothers. She has 3 younger brothers, and sometimes they come with her to walk the dogs for them to see as well. We're trying to prod them into starting their own business as well, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, you know, in starting your business, when you go and you talk to potential customers in the neighborhood, do they ask you what kind of college degree you have?
No, I think they all definitely know that I'm too young for all that.
But do they ask you, you can't walk my dog until you show me a slip of paper from a school that shows me exactly what you studied in school?
No.
No, of course not, because you tell them the story of what you want to do and why you started this business, and then you show that you provide great value for them, and you show the love of taking care of their pets or taking care of their house or picking up their mail, and word spreads. And so there's no excuse. You could have sat back and said, I'm only 9 years old. I don't have this or that. I'm not certified, right, to walk dogs. But instead you said, no, I'm going to make flyers. You got very excited. You got on your bike and you started delivering them. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because there's a lot of people, Anna, that I coach, or people who come to me wanting me to coach them, and they're 40 or 50 years old. And they're scared to go out and start their own company because they're afraid that they don't have the right college degree or the right kind of experience. And I've actually used your story with some of them, saying, my daughter was 9 years old. She had no experience walking dogs. She just went for it, and now she has $1,000 in her. There's people who would be very excited to have $1,000 in their checking account. So.
And I'm very excited about it. I love it. It also gives me a lot of independence to, again, do art and read books, to not have to, I just have the money to do all that. It makes me happy to be able to do all that. And
you're also learning to save your money, right? Mm-hmm. Spend it on the things that you really want or need, but then saving it for future things. And it melts my heart when you spend your money to buy birthday presents for your brothers, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, what are some of the lessons that you have learned from your business that you would instill in another 9-year-old who is starting a business? What is the lesson you would tell that 9-year-old?
Don't settle for anything. Because we had lived in the neighborhood for about a year-ish, and I knew lots of people, right? And one of the people in the neighborhood said, hey, can you walk my dogs every day? And I was like, sure, because I charge $5 a dog, right? So it would have been 10. And, after a couple days, she was like, oh, but I don't want 10. I want it to be 5. And I thought, oh, she's a family friend. I'll cut the price in half. And, that was 2 years ago. And I've been walking the dogs almost every single day for 2 years. And I'm just coming to realize maybe why, okay, I love dogs. I love going for walks. But maybe why I would rather be doing something different is because I'm not making the money I'm supposed to be making. Right. And it's just not, it doesn't, I don't want to settle for something like that. And because I'm not at my A game, I am the business owner. I probably shouldn't have done that. And, again, just don't settle for things that aren't going to make your job worth it.
And that's a lesson, Anna, that it took me 5 years to learn from owning my own successful agency, mm-hmm. in that I had taken clients because, oh, wow, they're offering me money. I better take it. Mm-hmm. But they weren't offering me. It wasn't about the money. It was about that they weren't paying what I was worth. And when someone doesn't pay what you're worth, they take advantage of you. They don't value your time. They don't value the product you're giving. And so, you feel like you're being taken advantage of. They feel maybe like they're getting a great deal, right? Mm-hmm. But if you truly believe in your product or your service, you're not going to discount. There's a podcast. Andy Frisella has a podcast, and he has a very successful $1 billion company. And I think it's a $1 billion company. It makes a lot of money either way. And he says he doesn't even give his family discounts, right? Mm-hmm. Because if you value your company and you value your product or service at this level, then why would you discount it to someone? That's devaluing what you're offering. And so that lesson that you've learned, and I didn't coach you on this, you came to that realization by owning your own business between the ages of 9 and 12. And there are people, my goodness, there are people I coach who are 45 years old who can't get that through their head. So they keep taking clients and clients and clients who are not paying them what they're worth. And so they're miserable because they have too many clients, not enough money. And so, so that's a wonderful lesson that you're sharing between the age of 9 and 12 that people multiples of your age have not figured out yet. So, so you mentioned one of the things you like about your business is the ability to interact and talk to people in the neighborhood, which is something you love. I mean, you always love talking to people. And so in my coaching program, one of the things we talk about, and one of the things, Anna, you and I talk about a lot is superpowers, right? And that everyone has untapped superpowers. And you mentioned that you love talking to people, relating to people. And so I'm a Gallup certified strengths coach. And one of the key planks of my coaching program is getting people to become aware of their untapped superpowers so they can invest in them, use them every day to turn them into full-blown superpowers to live a life of freedom and fulfillment. And so when you talk about meeting with people, relating with people, you took the kids version of the StrengthsFinder assessment. What are your 3, now StrengthsFinder, Gallup, calls them talent themes. I call them untapped superpowers. You're investing in them to turn them into full-blown superpowers. What are your 3?
Future thinker, relator, and competitor.
Got it. So you've already talked about how you are investing in that relator portion, right? I mean, today at art class, you went 20 minutes over because you were sitting there having a discussion with your art teacher. We can always find you having an in-depth conversation with someone in the neighborhood, someone wherever we go, right? But some of the other ones, future thinker and competitor, what are some of the ways you invest in those superpowers and use them intentionally on a regular basis?
Well, for competitor, I have 3 brothers, so that's always, right. But then for future thinker, I've always been the one to, like those books where you would pick the different routes you would go.
Right.
That's literally like my life. When I'm going to meet someone or do anything, I always have 2 options of maybe what they would say or do, or what they wouldn't say or do. And I always think about that, or, what's going to happen, what should I be talking about. And I have not done it as much, but I used to be really into writing stories.
Right.
And a lot of them were sci-fi themed. So that's another way that I like to think about the future and everything. So. And
you always talk about what you want to do. I want to have a YouTube channel in the future. This is where I want to be. This is where I want to go. And you're always thinking about 10 years or even 20 years down the line.
Yeah.
And competitor. You've played a number of different types of sports. We've allowed you to investigate and explore and try to discover what you really love. Not just what you're good at, but what you love to do, right? Because that's the most important thing. What's the one sport you're doing now that you really enjoy?
I'm doing boxing right now. And I love it. I love all the people there. And I've tried many sports in the past. And for some reason, they've all just stressed me out. Soccer, basketball, I just always used to be so anxious. Like, with boxing, the coaches are nice. I love the exercises. It's me, like, it's what I love to do, the things that we do in the gym and everything. And I never have felt like really stressed about going or how I'm going to perform or anything. I just go and it's fun, and if you make a mistake, you make a mistake. It's not a big deal or anything like it was in other sports.
And you've become close with the coaches who they're just big. Coach Galimas, who's in the South Carolina Boxing Hall of Fame, I take boxing lessons from him. He's just become a big part of our lives. Yeah. But you're exercising your relator in building those relationships with your coaches, but then also your competitor, because you compete to go up in shirts, right? It's like belts in karate. You get different color shirts.
Right.
And so you get to exercise. You're exercising your superpowers every single day, which is, and we joke, right? I catch you looking out the window. We live on the marsh, we live on the water, and I catch you looking out the window sometimes, and I ask you what you're thinking about, and you're thinking about the future of what it might be like.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned with the future thinking and the sci-fi, it was because you like reading. So what is your very favorite book series that you've ever read?
It's a tie between Hunger Games and Harry Potter,
Right.
which I know are like the most obvious book series out there, but they're so good. I'm actually rereading Hunger Games right now.
And you got into it so much that Mommy and Daddy read the entire Harry Potter series. And now, as you may know, on LinkedIn, I have a nickname amongst a number of people, Dumbledore, because of my beard, right? So, which I'm fine with. And I had self-selected Slytherin as my house, but then I took the Pottermore test, and it turned out I was Gryffindor. So it was meant to be that I'm
It was
Dumbledore.
meant to be.
So we talk about superpowers. So you and I have always had our special daddy-daughter connection going back, gosh, to when you were maybe not 8 or 9, right?
7.5.
7.5. You remember better than I do. On superhero movies. Specifically, Anna, are you DC or Marvel?
Marvel, 100%.
And I'm split because I love Batman, but I also love Marvel. But Batman goes way back to like I was in 8th grade. I never gave Iron Man a thought till the first movie. So do you think there's anything wrong? There's a lot of people who grow up, most people grow up believing in superheroes and believing and hoping in the one day that they would discover their superpowers. But then along the way, maybe it's a parent, a teacher, a coach, somewhere along the way that belief gets squashed, right? Just be realistic. Get your head out of the clouds. Stop doing that. Now, as a future thinker, right, and someone who exercises that, that would be painful to you to squeeze that out of you, right? So what do you like best about, other than being able to sit with your daddy, right, and watch the movies, what do you like best about superhero movies?
I don't know, they're just so, even though they're so unrealistic, the directors and everything make them so believable that you believe that Iron Man lives next door. And they make it like, it's just awesome to see all that come to life. All your thoughts and, creative ideas are just on screen where it all looks so real.
Yeah. No, I agree. And we do have competitions because Dominic, who's your 9-year-old brother, is a DC guy and loves Batman, although he loves watching Avengers, right? Rocco, who is 7, kind of is unsure, right?
Yeah.
He was Iron Man, but then we watched Spider-Man and he switched. And then Sonny, who's 4, he doesn't know what he is. He just likes watching superhero movies, right?
Yeah, his one question is there good guys and bad guys? He gets so stressed out about who's a good guy and who's a bad guy. It's funny.
So who is your very favorite number 1 superhero of all time?
I don't know. It changes. Like right now, one of my all-time favorite movies is Thor Ragnarok. So I guess right now it's Thor.
Okay.
But then like last week, I feel like it was someone totally different.
Who?
Scarlet Witch.
Okay.
It changes week to week. Every time I watch a Marvel movie, it totally changes. Like when I watched Spider-Man, it was like Spider-Man is definitely my favorite, and then I watch another one. It changes. It varies all the time.
So you're a future thinker. So I'm going to ask you to exercise your future thinker right now. So I want you to think, you're 12 years old. I want you to think 20 years from now, you're 32 years old. What does your life look like? I put you on the spot here with this.
I mean, I really want to adopt a child. Maybe someday have children. I've always wanted to be married, and I really want to be an illustrator, a full-time illustrator. One of my mom's friends is an illustrator, and she created her garage into a workspace, and I want that to be my, I want that to be my future, just being able to be so relaxed and be doing what you love every single day, and it's not working, it's doing what you love, really. So
yeah, because if you can work hard, but if you're working hard at something you love, it doesn't feel like hard work.
Right, exactly.
Right? Does that make sense? And is that bringing it all back? This is the Freedom Club podcast. and the first question was, what does freedom mean to you? Would that be freedom to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And, I was just telling my mom and my dad yesterday, like, I see people, like, on YouTube, or people, that are making $11, $12 million a year by dancing on TV or dancing on YouTube. And all I can think is, okay, they're making $11 million, but they're also posting 5 to 6 videos a day. They have why do they need the money if they're spending 24 hours a day doing what they don't like?
Right. They have a TV crew in their house 24 hours a day, but maybe they love it, and that's the point. I mean, I look at people who have certain jobs and I'm like, I could never do that, but they love it. Now there's some people who just can't stand their job and they feel trapped, right? Which is, you don't ever want to get into that situation, where you're not able to really fully tap your superpowers and do something because, like, I don't ever want you to say, I gotta go to college because my daddy said, and I gotta major in this in college because my daddy said, and I gotta do this job because my daddy said. Our parents, your grandparents didn't make us do that. There are people out there that's how they live.
Yeah.
And then those kids turn into adults and, they get to be 40 and they're not really happy doing what they're doing now. And that's why they come to me for coaching sometimes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
See, like, every day, even when I'm doing art, when I'm reading, I always think of what's going to make me happy, no matter what I'm doing. Like, I'll be debating whether or not, like, on a decision, and I don't want to settle for something that's not going to make me happy. And I always am trying to look for stuff for me to be happy. I never want to be, like, negative about something that I chose or whatever.
Right.
And that is also freedom to me. Like,
Yeah.
Even if it's so different from what everybody else is doing, I don't really, if it's going to make me happy, then that's what I want to do with my life. I don't want to live a life that isn't free and fun.
But and there's certain things that you do that are hard, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And mommy and daddy make you do some things that make you uncomfortable, right? You get out of your comfort zone. But I mean, no one could ever say that you don't work very hard at your art, or at boxing, or even in school and doing certain things. You're a very hard worker, and your mom and dad are super proud of you.
Thank you.
So this is, it's a really great interview, and I talk to people who are 40 and 50 who can't come to the same realization that you've come to in terms of what freedom means and what you want your future to look like. And listen, there's a lot of 12-year-olds who say, that's what I want my future to look like. Between the age of 12 and 22, someone squeezes that out of them, right? And so our focus is, and I think I've told you this before, my mission in life is to save the world by helping individuals fight for freedom and fulfillment. And by individuals, I don't just mean my clients. I mean me, I mean mommy, and I mean you and your brothers. And so being able to really find out not only what you're good at, but what you love to do and what your passion lies. I never want that to leave you. And that's one thing that I want to leave with you throughout your life.
Yeah.
Because I think, that's something that will be with you forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Anna, I want to thank you for traveling all the way here to my studio up in my home office, which is about 20 feet from your bedroom, to come on the Freedom Club podcast. I truly enjoyed it. And on a special note, your mommy and daddy are very proud of you, and we love you very much.
Thank you.
Love.